there are more blue suits coming in this way you've never seen in your life.
Everybody open up a half and stop.
Come around the front. Come on, Rob.
You're more accustomed to the lights than I am.
You're getting closer.
Closer. Closer. We've only just met.
And the guy, Rob, can you back up a little, guy?
Can you back up?
I can't go any wider.
Just fit this, Ben. Right here.
Nice cigar.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Would you like David's cigar?
Sure.
Mr. Fish, would you like David's cigar?
I admired it previously. Thanks for coming. Good night, everybody.
Would you like this one, please?
How late is PhotoMed open? All right. Okay.
Okay, guys. Just sit there.
Thank you, sir.
Harry sit over there. Figure out the time.
That's fine. I like these chairs.
Oh, thank you.
If anyone doesn't know them, this is Peter Lassalle, executive producer of what used to be called Something with David Letterman, and Rob Morton on my right. This, of course, is our chief executive officer, and everything else. And this, he's famous. It's and somewhere in the room is the vice president of late night, Rod Perth, I believe. You can wave. There's Rod Perth. And somewhere out in the hinterland at the other end of cameras is our distinguished president of entertainment, Jeff Sagansky.
Jeff, sure.
So,
thank you very much. Now, what happens if I have to move?
And before I introduce David Letterman and Larry Tisch, I also at this time would like to thank Michael Ovitz, Lee Gabler, and CEA for a negotiation of matchless skill and great integrity. 4 or 5 years ago, the beat was too long. It won't make the cut. 4 or 5 years ago, when Larry charged us with making the network #1 in prime time, we had a lot of goals. And one of them was to get the morning news back on track. First of all, get the morning news back and then get that up. But the most elusive goal was late night television. It has been for CBS for decades. It's the empty piece in a jigsaw puzzle that's glared at us over the decades. And there seemed, from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, clear to me that there was only one person to fill it. The other day I was asked, I suggested that David Letterman was in the great Beyond the Fringe, Monty Python, Saturday Night Live tradition, and Dudley Moore was being interviewed, and he was asked if he agreed with that. And I was put in the spot because they said Howard Stringer says that David is in the great tradition, and Dudley Moore thought for a few moments, and he said, absolutely. He said, I love to watch that show. He's smart, he's sophisticated, he's quick, he'd fit in. And for years, I thought the same thing. It's a show I watched with great regularity, and it seemed to me that he would be a signature for this network, the likes of which we haven't seen in years, for all those reasons. Because he's smart, because he's thoughtful, because he's original, because he's daring, and he's fun. And he's going to get his own back on anything I say about him. So it's a great moment for CBS, if you excuse the expression, a red Letterman day.
Whoa.
my last shot of the day. A great moment for CBS and a great moment for all of us, Jeff and Larry and Tortorisi, all those who work for this. But before I get David up here to have fun at my expense and Larry's expense and your expense, it was also worth remembering that a long time ago, Mr. Paley put up the cash for Jack Benny at a big turning point in this network. And Larry Tisch has just done the same thing with considerable enthusiasm and total resolution to bring David Letterman to this network and turn another facet of its history into something special. So I'd first like to call upon Larry Tisch to say a few words. And I'm going to steal his chair.
Thank you very much, Howard. We are truly delighted to welcome this great star to the CBS network. And in doing that, I want to compliment Howard Stringer and his staff for making it all possible. They had the vision. They are truly carrying out CBS's long-term strategy of being #1 in every day part. We've made it in prime time. We've made it #1 in daytime with David Letterman. We think we will be #1 in late night. In fact, we're pretty sure of that. And I just want to tell you, David, how delighted we are to have you part of the CBS family.
Thank you very much.
David, it's my turn to be in your chair.
All right, thank you.
First of all, thanks to Mr. Tisch, and thank you very much to Howard, and thanks to you folks for that stirring ovation. By the way, I'm sorry to hear about Knots Landing. I never dated Amy Fisher. I fixed her car. I helped her with her homework. I never laid a hand on Amy Fisher. As some of you may know, for the last year and a half, I've kind of been interested in doing a show a little earlier than the one I'm doing now. And that reality has come to pass here today. And I'm happy because of that reason. But what really makes me ultimately very happy and very satisfied is the fact that I get to come here and do it at CBS. And I just want to, at this point, thank these people for certainly their patience. I mean, could it have dragged on a little longer? And I want to thank them for their support. And also, I would like to thank them for their generosity, because this deal certainly would have put a smile on Jack Benny's face. Even in the condition he's in now, he would have found reason to celebrate this. I guess what we'll do is we'll take some questions. We'll take some discussion on this, and then when we're finished, Colin Powell will come out and update you on the bombing. So, whoever, yes, ma'am.
Hey, David, on your show today, you said the main thing in New York is to find cheap enough parking.
I didn't say cheap enough, ma'am, and I resent being misquoted right off the top here. Could I see some credentials, by the way?
I am paraphrasing, nonetheless. Are you staying in New York with $14 million? I think we can afford any parking space you want.
Say part of that again, will you? I mean, there's just one little phrase I'd like to hear again. No, we are considering the possibility of moving the show. We have not decided, and one of the factors is we would obviously, I think we would like to stay in New York because we're familiar with New York City. The one thing that would cinch the deal probably is if we can come up with reasonable hourly parking rates. Then we're here. By the way, thanks again for that stirring ovation. And could we get a little more carpet for this room, please? Yes, sir.
How much of the Letterman staff will be coming over to CBS, or Schaefer, the writers?
You're looking at it. As far as we know, we would like everybody who can come with us to please make the transition. We feel like we're very comfortable with the people. They've proven themselves to be great at what they do, and so we're hopeful and optimistic that everybody who wants to can make the move with us.
That includes student Netflix?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
How would you describe your final feelings of NBC?
You know, I want to also thank NBC for their patience in this, because I'm thinking if it were me, I would have certainly gotten fed up with this situation a long time ago, and we had to do a show for those people each and every night as all of this happened, and I think that they certainly behaved honorably and as gentlemen, and I do have nothing but great thoughts about my 11 years at NBC, and I'll tell you right now, what I will miss most would be the if I think about my years at NBC, what I'll miss most, I guess the back rubs from Irving R. Levine. And, but the man is a master, yet there's a certain gentleness to him that I find incomparable. Yes, ma'am.
How would you characterize the relationship with Jay Leno at this point? Has this whole negotiation changed?
No, I was not, strictly speaking, negotiating with Jay. So we are still maintain a relationship much as we've had since I first met him years and years ago in California.
So how do you feel about going up against him?
You know, I'm happy about the opportunity. First of all, I wanted to do a show at 11:30, and you know, obviously there's competition in the picture now, and we feel that, you know, we've done this a little bit. It's not like we just got off a bus. Well, some came on a bus. So we feel like this is good for us. We're eager, and I think honestly that we should not have too much difficulty being competitive. I mean we've been doing it for 11 years, and let me promise you one thing right now. Oh, I like that. Let me tell you one thing. This show, we're gonna, when we go on the air here at CBS, and by the way, we'll go on the air just as soon as my plastic surgery heals, but when we do, the show will really be much better than we used to do. I mean, that was a contractual issue, and we said, sure. All right, we'll let you have that one. It'll be a much better show. It'll be a much better show. Okay, fine. I'm sorry? You know, I'm not certain. Do we have a...
Sometime in August.
When can you make it, ma'am?
In August sometime.
In August, we believe.
Jay, some critics have said that a bitter David Letterman or an angry David Letterman is a funnier David Letterman. With this kind of contract, you can't be bitter or angry.
Oh, come up here and let's settle this now. I don't have to take this. I'm not sure how to respond to the question. You know, with regard to bitterness, I've never considered myself to be a bitter person. When Johnny Carson retired and I was not given the job as host of The Tonight Show, I was disappointed, but to my way of thinking, it was not bitter. But you know, there are many other things to make fun of in this world, like, you know, beginning with your tie, for example. But yes, sir.
I think General Electric makes the best management of the National Television Network.
I'm sorry, do they make the best what?
Do you think General Electric makes the best management of the television network?
I don't know about that, but have you tried their toaster ovens? They're not a bad product. Yes, sir.
Was there ever an offer from NBC to do this kind of just over money or no offer?
There was negotiation. I believe there was a 30-day period. I was never quite clear on a lot of this. I just wasn't paying attention. And I believe there was negotiation right up until pretty much the last possible contractual moment. And I think the issues discussed are of extreme confidence, and I can't really get into that. Yes, sir.
Hi. Some industry sources in Hollywood are being quoted as saying the only way you would have stayed at NBC is the network had gotten rid of the Littlefield.
If the network had gotten rid of Warren Littlefield? No. We, Warren and I, I've known Warren for a long time, but what's the point of why would you want somebody out of a job, for heaven's sakes? No, that's silly. I'm sorry. Yes, sir, in the back, right there. You, sir.
Yeah, there were a lot of your viewers who are concerned that a change to CBS is going to be a change in format. Can you tell us if there's going to be a change in format with the show?
Is there something wrong with the present format, sir? Yeah. No, I've had a lot of people say to me, not only are you changing time periods, you're moving from 12:30, 12:35 to 11:30, and you're moving from NBC to CBS. Will this be a problem? And this suggests, it's kind of insulting, it suggests that people who watch my show don't understand the complexities of the remote control. So I don't think that's going to be. I'm not co-anchoring the evening news with Dan Rather. So I don't find it as that stretch of the imagination too drastic.
How much longer are you going to be on NBC? For the time between when you start at here, when you start to CBS?
I think I'm officially finished at NBC June 25th.
Are you going to be off the air as of June 25th on NBC?
Yes.
And then when do you start on CBS?
We believe in August. We believe in August, yeah, and we should probably finish up around Labor Day. No. I'm just a joke, Larry. Relax, will you? Let me remind you one thing. The sooner we finish up, the sooner we get snacks. Yes, ma'am. Well, we'll see. He's got a lot to shoot for there. We both have our work cut out for us there. I feel like as I leave NBC, one of the things that is a bit saddening for me is that toward the end there, I got to know Bob Wright pretty well, and I have a lot of respect for the man. Yes, sir.
Brian, question, how much are they paying you?
I get enough for gum. It's been a very, very generous offer. But also, I have to say that money and financial considerations have never in my life been the prime motivating force. And I believe in early discussions, there were some people who made offers that even I found silly. This one is really, really something I couldn't be happier about. And I hope to reward their confidence and their interest in me and the product that we turn out for them by never having to go anywhere else again as long as we're doing television. Yes, sir.
Is NBC planning a big send-off for you in August?
That's very funny. Thank you. Yes, sir.
There's been booking more at 11:30 before. Do you anticipate that problem moving to 11:30?
I mean, there are many, many television shows that rely on guests from all walks of life, and the battle is the same whether you're on at 9 in the morning or 11:30 in the evening or 12:30 in the evening. So I don't see much changing there. I think we've had pretty good luck, by the way, over the years competing with other shows. Yes, ma'am.
The 11:30 time slot is obviously really important to you, but is it true that in a lot of markets you'll still be on at 12:30 because our studio there is on CBS affiliates elsewhere?
I think in the beginning there are some problems regarding complete clearance. But the situation we're in now at NBC has not been exactly ideal for us either. So we've dealt with that before. We're confident it's something that can be overcome, something that can be managed, and it comes as no surprise to us, no. Yes, sir. I see you have your sleeves rolled up. I applaud that. You're ready to do some questioning, aren't you?
Was there a departure from NBC foreordained the moment they said you can't have the electronic time slot, or were there other things that went back a year and a half ago? Was there anything they could have done short of giving you that slot?
You know, when I was, as I mentioned before, that's I think probably the one real disappointment I've had in my professional life. and I got over it, and I'm on to bigger and better things now. And I forget the rest of your question. I'm sorry.
If there was anything else besides the 11:30 slot that they could have done for you.
No. I just felt like at that point I had been on at 12:30 10 years, and I just would have always wanted to try it at 11:30. So I mean, there was discussion of prime time, but I would have been really on. You know, you have to be really very good to get on prime time. Yes, sir.
Jumping on at 10:30 in the Midwest, you're going to keep the late night title to the show?
I think the late night title is actually property of the National Broadcasting Company. So I don't know. Well, we'll come up with something. We'll try and work the name Buttafuoco into the title. Get that. There's your ratings magic right there. Yes, Mr. Ebert. Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Ebert in the back. And his friend and partner Gene Siskel, also seated some 12 feet from him. I got a couple of questions for you guys.
What do you think about the theory that, for some reason, your humor is so hip that it has to be on later, and that's why you couldn't play it out earlier, because the hip audience isn't tuned in until
I don't know. You people seem to be keeping up, so I'm not sure that would be. You know, you're on when you're on. When we first started at 12:30. We had to make almost every choice regarding the content of the program so it would not look like we're just trying to do a poor imitation of Johnny Carson. So those were all conscious decisions. And I truly believe the show is the show, whether it's on at 12:30 or 11:30. There may be, I'll tell you one thing, we'd like to be in color, all right off the top of my head. What do you think, Larry? Color? Let's do it. I don't want to break the bank here, but think about it. But I just feel like, you know, things work out. I mean, 11:30, yeah, maybe there'll be some things that we'd like to change, but I don't really believe they present themselves until you just get a feel for it. Okay, that's it. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
There has been talk that you really, what your goal really was to get to the next show, that was the goal at some point in time. Is there an element that's still a disappointment that never came to pass and likely down there?
Well, as I've said now twice, I was disappointed at the time because I don't know of a person in comedy or television who didn't sort of grow up with Johnny Carson as a role model. And I think it's something everybody, it's one of the reasons people leave home and come to New York or go to California to get into comedy or show business. So that was a disappointment for me. On the other hand, the situation I find myself in today, because of the people I'm coming to work with, I mean, this happens to be the #1 television network in the world, and because of the, as I mentioned before, the patience and the support that I've gotten from these people now, not to mention, again, the generosity, I just, you know, somehow I have trouble feeling all that disappointed.
12:30 show, can you talk about that? The one that you're developing? Or that you at least have a...
Well, do you like cooking segments?
Are you developing a 12:30 show, or is that just sort of a blue sky thing?
I wouldn't call it blue sky. I think that it's something we would like to do, but we would like to get the 11:30 show up and running first. But we'll consider you when it comes time for 12:30.
Aside from late night, what might be the property of NBC as far as elements of the show that would be something new?
They own the rights to my old ice dancing routine.
No.
Yeah, it's tied up with the Olympics somehow. I don't.
We have that.
Oh, well, there you go. Yes, Gene Siskel, ladies and gentlemen. Gene. Yes, Gene.
if you make the move to LA, what excuse will you use?
If we go to L.A.? Geez, that's an interesting question. How are we doing on time? I think not the excuse. I think the reason for staying in New York or the reason for going to Los Angeles, and also Muncie, Indiana, oddly enough, is in the running. The reason will be what seems to be best for the show. So it will actually be a creative choice.
Which way are you leaning towards?
Well, right now I'm leaning just a little bit to my right. You know, we've been in New York. I've been in New York for 11 years. I did a morning show for NBC. That was also very successful, Larry. And you know, by virtue of the fact that our staff and crew live here now and have grown comfortable, I would have to say that for those reasons we're leaning to staying in New York. On the other hand, the ultimate decision will be what's best for the show. What is the better place to actually do the program.
Will the show probably open in New York, though? In other words, when you go on the air? Or is that...
You know, we just haven't come to that yet. I'm sorry. What are you listening to? Is it the Knicks?
They're losing.
Oh.
Have you spoken with Johnny Carson about this? And what about the woman that breaks into your house up in Connecticut?
Oddly enough, she's spoken to Johnny Carson. I can't. It's the damnedest thing. I can't seem to get him on the phone. She's got his number in her Rolodex. You figure that out. I don't know. Yes, I have. I spoke to Mr. Carson on Sunday.
What did he say?
He said, "Stop calling me." Alex and I are playing tennis. Stop bothering me. Yes, there have been points in my life when I have turned to Johnny Carson for advice. And he's the reason I am standing here. There have been many, many people in my life who have been helpful and supportive and encouraging to me. And I would have to think that the most important figure has been Johnny Carson. The man has been encouraging and helpful to me in ways that he doesn't know I know about. He has, in my career, done things not for any open gratitude or any favors returned. He has been so helpful to me and such a role model for me that I will never be able to repay the kindness to the man.
Yeah, Dave, are you going to kick Jay Leno's ass, and what do you think will happen to Arsenio in the upcoming late night battle?
I'm going to kick your ass. That's what I'm going to do, buddy. Me and Larry, down there, all over you. I got cheap suit, pal. You're dead meat, right, Larry? Take it. You loosen him up, I'll finish him off. You know, it's silly to say things like that. And you probably feel silly now. No, I mean, the only kind of strategy we've ever used is we worry about ourselves. We worry about our show. We concentrate on doing the best show we can possibly do. And, you know, all of that other stuff seems to take care of itself. I know that it's going to be difficult. I know we have some obstacles. I think our goal, I think everybody up here just it wants us to be competitive. So I would not say we're in business right now to kick anybody's ass.
How do you feel about guests coming on your show for the next few months and bringing up your deal and your move?
I think that we'll grow weary of that pretty soon. I think you folks have grown tired of it already. So I don't see that as a problem.
What about Paul? Did he come along with the deal?
Oh shit, Paul. What, have you got a little extra for Paul? Or? No, absolutely. Paul Schaefer, I've said this before, Paul Schaefer and the band Night In and Night Out is the best thing about our television program, and I would not have considered any change unless Paul was eager and happy and willing to go with us. Okay, that's about it, eh? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Nice chatting with you. Do what you can. Do what you can. Pleasure to see you.
We're going to take him back up and do something new.
Okay. Just get a handshake. That'd be great.
We want you.
I will find.
Howard. Right here, please.
Hi, Joe. Thank you very much.
Oh, hi, how are you? Good to see you.
Okay. How are you? Great. Got it. This is the guy you want to interview.
Nice going, Ron.
So he's getting me out of here.
BB on board.
I made you.
BB on board. You got it. Try it again.
Okay, Gene. So, ready to go? What's the mood inside the room?
I think this is a home run for CBS, and that's the feeling here among CBS employees. Late night has been a big problem for CBS, and this could be the solution. I think the biggest question remains, will Letterman stay in New York or go to L.A.? My sources tell me, and they're pretty high-level sources within the show, that it is really a 50-50 call. Letterman, even though he is a New Yorker in sensibility and lives nearby, happens to like Los Angeles, and so it's a real question. There are other members of his advisory team that also like Los Angeles. It's very much up in the air right now where he will stay or where he'll go. I think the show will start for the first year in New York, and then we'll see.
What was it like on the show tonight?
Well, one thing that I think people would find amusing about the show tonight is when Roger Ebert and I come out, you'll see Letterman come over and whisper something in my ear as I come out, and he says, they don't care at all, meaning the audience really doesn't care whether he stays with NBC or CBS. And, you know, I really don't think they do care. I think they're interested in him, not on the channel that he's on.
What did he say to you personally?
That was what he said. That was what he said personally. An advanced peek at the top 10 reasons why he's leaving NBC, which he announces on the show later tonight. Number one reason, CBS insists I wear pants. Not me, him.
But I mean, anything off camera in his ear or your ear?
Well, that's what I just said before.
Okay, so that was...
That was the number one, that the audience, he says, they don't really care. And I think he's right. That ultimately, they don't care. When he announced it on the show that he was going to CBS, there was no big audience applause or excitement. They don't care. They love him. They don't love a network. Okay, thanks.
All right. So that's done there.